the drawing for the LED lamp. Now, when you start a new drawing in Fusion, there are a couple of things you want to do right off the bat. And one of them is to name the file. So you go to File, pull down menu, File, and name it. Save it. Okay. And the second thing you want to do is make sure that you're working in the correct unit. So if you look over here in the browser, see where it says Document Settings, and I expand that out, you can see that I'm currently working in inches, right? And that's the correct units for this drawing. If you need to change that, it's just a matter of clicking on this icon and changing the units. Okay, so let's look at the finished model that we'll be creating, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of divide and conquer. So we're going to divide this into three sections. So we have the upper arm, the lower arm, and the base. And we're going to start our drawing with the upper arm. So now let's go back to our original drawing, and then let's refer back to our reference drawing. And if you look at it, you see that we've got a couple of circles, right? We have a circle that has a diameter of 0.6, another circle with a diameter of 1.5, and the distance between the two centers is 13.75. So we're going to start our drawing there. So come back into Fusion. Now, one of the cardinal rules in working with Fusion is that you want to make sure that all of your parts are separate components. This is really important, especially if you want to assemble everything using joints, which is what we want to do. Okay. So to create a new component, I'm going to come up to the top level, to the assembly. I'm going to right mouse click. I'm going to say New Component. Now let's call this component, let's say Upper Arm Side. Say OK. Okay, you can see that we now have created a new component, and it's in the correct position in the browser. If you notice over on the side here, there's this little radio button, and that's selected, and that's indicating that this component is selected. Now let's create the new sketch. So with that component selected, we're going to click up here and say Create New Sketch. Now we want to create these just drawing in the correct orientation, so we're going to place it on this front plane. So I'm going to select that front plane for my drawing. It goes into orthographic view, and now we can start our sketch. So let's go back to our reference drawing, and you can see that we have a couple of circles. We've got a smaller one of 0.6. We've got a larger circle with a diameter of 1.5, and the distance between the centers is 13.75. So we're going to start our drawing there. So first thing we're going to do is going to create a circle, and we're going to put the center point of that circle on the point of origin. Click and drag, and then the diameter is 0.6. Okay, we've got another circle with a diameter of 1.5, and I'm just drawing this anywhere over 1.5. There we go. And we know that the distance between the two centers is 13.75. To set that distance, I'm going to use the dimension command. So if I press down on my D key, it brings up dimension, and I can set the distance between that center and that center, and bring my dimension string down here. And again, that is 13.75. There we go. There we go. So now we've got the two circles and the correct distance between them. So the next thing we should draw is this upper line, or the upper edge of the arm. Okay, and I'm going to use a line command. Now notice that that line is tangent to both of the circles, but I'm not going to worry about that right off the bat. I'm just going to draw the line. So I'm going to say line, and I'm going to just draw a line from this circle over to this one, but I'm making sure that that line is horizontal. There we go. And then I'm going to use a tangent constraint to make them tangent, right? So I want this line to be tangent with this circle, and I want this line to be tangent with that circle. And it moves everything into place. Okay? So the next step is to draw the bottom edge of the upper arm. Again, we'll do the same thing. Let's take a line. Again, I'm not going to worry too much exactly where it is at this point, but I am going to make sure that I draw that horizontal, right? Again, we'll use our tangent constraint to make this bottom line tangent with that circle. Pretty good. Okay, so the next thing let's do, let's let's trim out the parts of the circle that we don't need. So if you look over at a reference drawing, you can see that this circle doesn't continue all the way through, right? So we're going to come back over to modify, and then we're going to use the trim command to come in and trim out the parts of the circle that we don't need. Okay, looking pretty good. Okay, so that's the basic outline of our upper arm. And then in the next video, we'll take a look at how to use the circular pattern tool and the rectangular pattern tool to create the rest of the drawing.